Hello and welcome to Module 6, where we move into working on our stress response. And also, since at the end of this week, we will be halfway through the program, we will be revisiting our initial goals. So that is the topic for this week. There is also a recipe, meal plan that you will get this week. So let's get into it. Stress is something that we have started to normalize because so many of us are experiencing it and know friends who do. So in that way, we often do nothing about it because we think it's inevitable and there's nothing we can do. But there is a lot that we can do. Not necessarily about what's going on around us, but in our response or our perception to it. So in this module, we talk about the 3 phases of stress, and one is the initial or alarm phase, and that is where we have high levels of adrenaline and it increases inflammation in the body. Eventually, if that starts to go on long enough, our cortisol kicks in and starts to become elevated, and that increases our blood sugar levels, and as a result makes it difficult to lose weight or maintain our weight. And then finally, if that goes on long enough, even after that, and the timeline actually varies for everyone, so there's no set amount of time to flow through the phases, but if it goes on long enough, then cortisol levels actually deplete and we end up with fatigue, extreme fatigue. So these are the phases of stress in the body, yet it is really our perceptions of stress that is creating our physiological reaction to it. So if we don't deal with our worries and our fears, then our stress continues and is ongoing. So in this module, I explain all about the difference between the parasympathetic or rest and digest branch of the nervous system and the sympathetic branch, which is our fight or flight. And it's when we're constantly living in that fight or flight and looking at our to-do lists and our email as our source of stress, as an example, then our body doesn't understand the difference between a real life-threatening physical threat that increases this adrenaline and cortisol, and just some of these psychological worries and overwhelm and anxieties that we have. It's actually creating the same physiological response. And while on an acute basis, on a short-term basis, like someone suddenly cutting us off on the highway and we need to focus and our adrenaline increases quickly, but then goes down quickly, that's not the concern here. It's the continuous living in that highly overwhelmed state in that fight or flight system. That is what wears our body down. So that's what we are going to address in this module. So action 1 talks a lot about some of the things that you can do to shift your perceptions. Remember, these things don't happen overnight, but some of the ideas that you can try are to shift your language, because then your beliefs and your feelings may come along after that. So if you can shift your language from I'm busy to I'm productive, or I'm nervous to I'm excited, or I have to do this, I need to do this, to I want to do this, I choose this, I get to do this, I'm lucky enough to be able to do this. So some of the changes in language can help really shift our perceptions. So in action 1, these are some ideas that you can do, but also there are 3 at-home tests. Again, these are not diagnostic tests. You will not be diagnosed with something if you come out positive on these. They are just at-home indicators that can help you decide what your next course of action will be, whether you do want to get additional testing or whether you feel like you are dealing with your stress as well. So They don't cost anything other than the second one needing a blood pressure monitor. So if you don't have that, then you can either borrow one or you can skip that test and just do the other two. And just help give yourself a sense of where you think you are physiologically in responding to the levels of stress and your perceptions of stress. So that is action 1 this week. Then actions 2 and 3 shift into what you can do to help yourself. So in addition to shifting your language, you also want to be spending time nourishing yourself. So you want to create your own list of what makes a difference for you. And again, that's different for everyone. And while you might think it is selfish to be spending time soaking in a bath or reading a good book, you need to take care of yourself in order to be able to take care of others. So that's why on the airplane they say to put on your own mask before assisting others, and this is the same thing. So if you can frame it that way for yourself, then you can think of it as something that you're doing to help you give more, so that you can give something to yourself as well. So there's that. And of course, in action 3, I include breath work because it's very easy. It can be done quickly, and within 5 slow breaths, you can bring yourself from that sympathetic nervous system down into the parasympathetic very quickly. The worksheets provide a chart where you can record where you have taken the time to nourish yourself, do your breath work. So at a glance at the end of the week, you can see how you've done and see perhaps where you could try to add some more in to your schedule. So that is the actions 1, 2, 3 this week. And then finally, we are going to revisit your goals. So what you want to do is go back to module 1, have a look at what your SMART goals were, look at those measurable goals, and write down how you're doing. Don't need to have achieved everything. We're only halfway through, but it's a good place and time to see how far you've come. And then if you've got something measurable, you can take your measurements again, and even your perceptions that you've written down from 1 to 10 on various items that you chose. Do those again, and then compare back to module 1 and see how you're doing. So it's really important to keep referring back to those goals, not super frequently because they do take time, but here in the middle of the course, and we'll do it again at the end. Finally, the superfoods and supplements that I have noted here that are supportive to stress, you can go out and add those to the meal plan. So for instance, holy basil tea is a great support of the stress response, and that's easy to find in many grocery stores. The lion's mane is a mushroom elixir. I have provided a link to get it from Four Sigmatic. You can also get a turmeric elixir that's also on the list there, and there's a discount code for you. And also the vitamins. Vitamin B5 is our stress vitamin. If you are taking a B complex with B5 in it, that is great. If you want a recommendation, then you can either post in the group or send me a message, and I can make a recommendation for you. The adaptogens, you can sometimes get formulations that include adaptogens with the B5 or with B vitamins. Some of them are also, as I said, available as a tea, like licorice, holy basil. The cordyceps is also another mushroom elixir, along with lion's mane, that you can order and get online as well. So in addition to that, the meal plan this week is a low carb paleo meal plan that focuses on whole foods, as always, but also a lot of clean meats, vegetables, nuts and seeds, whole high fiber plant foods that will help to manage your blood sugar and reduce inflammation. So good luck this week. If you have questions, you can ask them as always in the group and also on the live call. Good luck, have fun with it this week, and I will see you soon.